Hey, seventh graders. Happy Friday. Before we dive into today's lesson, I just wanted to give you some feedback on your work from the past couple of days. Today is April 17th. Go ahead and set up the heading of your notes with this information. Today I'm going to start with some feedback and then we're going to review one skill based on that feedback today before you dive into your independent practice. All right, so I was taking a look at your work from your independent practice on the 15th, and I want you to take a look at these two questions. This is my work for question 2 and question 3. This is the correct work. There are no mistakes here that I know of. Question 2, 65.4% of us got that question correct. And for question 3, 53.8% of us got that question correct. What do you notice about what is similar and different between these two questions, question 2 and question 3? You may have noticed that one thing that's similar is that these two equations are in the same form. So I have in both of these a factor A outside the parentheses that's sort of locking those terms inside. Otherwise, the rigor or the difficulty of these two questions is really so similar. In the first step in both of these, I decided to divide first, then subtract. Then in this one, I had to divide again. So even a third step in number 2. So why do you think that number 2 had a little bit higher percentage of us got that one correct and 3 was lower? What made number 3 more challenging? I want to share with you my hypothesis or my guess. My hypothesis is that this operation right here, 2 minus 18, is what made number 3 trickier. When I'm thinking about 2 minus 18, sometimes our brains are so used to doing subtraction with positive numbers that our brain accidentally flips and our brain says, do 18 minus 2, and you get 16. You've had so much practice with that throughout elementary school, and so that's why your brain does that, because you're so good at subtraction. But this problem actually says 2 minus 18. So a common mistake for number 3 would actually be to answer t equals 16. But we know that's incorrect because 2 minus 18 is actually negative 16. Okay, so here's my hypothesis. My hypothesis is that we're struggling to apply rules for operating with signed numbers when we're solving an equation. We're struggling to apply rules for operating. So add, subtract, multiply, divide, those rules for positive and negative numbers when solving an equation. So in question 3, we struggled with subtracting positive numbers when the solution was negative. In number 2, you didn't have to do that at all. You ended up with 12 minus 4 and you got a positive value. That's that kind of elementary school subtraction that our brains are really quick at, right? Okay, so what do? I was racking my brain. How do we prevent this error? Because I know based on your skill builders this week, I know you can, when you're thinking about it really carefully, do 2 minus 18 in your skill builders, no problem. I know for sure you can do 2 plus negative 18 on your skill builders. So how do we bring that into our solving equations work? I have 3 ideas. 1, slow down. If you write out all of your steps and show that really excellent work and slow down, double check your thinking, you're really going to help yourself avoid this error. Second step is rewrite the number sentence. So if I wanted to do 2 minus 18, I'm working algebraically. I might on the side of my paper just write 2 minus 18, change it to add a negative, 2 plus negative 18, and then solve, right? And lastly, this is the same feedback I gave yesterday, do a check step, okay? Do a check step. That's gonna help you if you accidentally got that positive 16 down here and you did a check step, you showed that self-determination and you did that little bit of work to check and make sure you got the right answer, you would see that actually 16 plus 18 times 4 will not equal 8. Right? But negative 16 plus 18 times 4 will equal 8. Okay, so 3 suggestions. We're going to do these 3 things in one question that we'll do together today. We are going to slow down. We're going to Absolutely. We're going to rewrite the number sentence and we are going to do a check step. Okay, so let's try it. Your independent practice today, question number 1, is actually the question we're going to do together right now. So we are getting a head start on your independent practice. Please copy this equation down on your paper. I am going to give you about 20 seconds to do that because I want to put my tips back up on the screen. 5 seconds left to copy this on your paper. Awesome. Please solve this equation, remembering the steps, or not the steps, the suggestions that I made here. So do these 3 things as you're solving, and I've got your timer ready to go, starting now. For 30 seconds in, just a reminder, work with that 3 outside the parentheses first. Either divide it away on both sides or distribute it.
Say I don't care about you, it's Friday, I'm in love. Monday you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Oh, Thursday doesn't mean who's got it's Friday, I'm in love. Saturday, Sunday always comes in late. Friday,
Don't forget that check step, last 30 seconds. All right, so we are ready to review this question. As a reminder, this is your question 1 from your independent practice. So just triple check and make sure you've got some really good notes here. That's going to save you some work on your independent practice today. We can kind of take a shortcut here. So you should have done these 3 things that are listed on the screen while you were working. You should have slowed down. I think you had enough time to complete this question, but if you're not done, feel free to pause the video. You should rewrite the number sentence, and this one, if you didn't do this on your own, you can add it in to know exactly what I'm talking about here. I'll be really explicit. And also, you should have done a check step. If you haven't done the check step, at least, go ahead and pause the video and make sure that you've done that and you like your answer. Okay. Before we dive into the correct answer, I want to show you a common mistake. This is something I was seeing scholars doing on their independent practices this week. So I want to show it to you. Okay, I put a big X there. That's a clue, right? Something happened within this work, and I want you to take a look and figure out what are the steps that you agree with and what are the steps that you disagree with. Got it? Awesome. Most of the work here is correct. There's some really nice organized thinking here, shout out. But here is the part where the error is. What number sentence does this part of the work represent? Yeah, this is -2 minus 8. I'm going to say it again, -2 minus 8. Visualize a number line. Is there any way that -2 minus 8, so move to the left 8 spaces, is there any way that would equal -6? No, this is a trick our brain plays on us because that's what would be true if I was doing 8 minus 2 in positive numbers. So if you put 6 or negative 6 here, you got tricked that way too. So be super, super careful. Here's one way that I think we can go about checking this specific step of work, okay? Actually, before I give you that tip, can you go ahead and scroll down below the video? The first question says, what was the mistake made in this question? What was the error described in question 1? Did the student not solve the equation? Did the answer have the wrong sign? Did the student not divide correctly? Or did the student not subtract correctly? Okay. Go ahead and take our example and answer that question now. Awesome. So now I want to show you the tip, the suggestion that will help us avoid this error, okay? Because we're so good at this skill actually in our skill builders, okay? Here's the correct work and the correct answer. Here's that number sentence I was talking about. I see -2 minus 8 here. I'm gonna rewrite the number sentence. So I have -2 minus 8. Then I can easily see keep, change. I'm using all those strategies like I typically do when I'm solving problems with signed numbers, particularly with subtraction. And if I'm adding -2 and -8, remember when signs are the same, I add the number's absolute values and I keep the sign. So I actually get -10 here. In my mistake work, it said -6. Okay. Then I've got to divide by 2. Same thing when I want to do this operation with side numbers. I'm just going to quickly rewrite that number sentence to the side. That helps me slow down. It helps me triple check my work and make sure I'm not missing the rules for signed numbers. I know a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Crushed it. The correct answer is -5 equals Z. Please pause the video, scroll down and answer the question, the next question on your Google form. Here is my solution. Awesome. So the very last thing I want to do before I give you your assignment is the question of the day. It is here. The question of the day is, what were the strategies that I suggested you use in order to help avoid the mistake we're making as a class? Okay. So you didn't have these in your notes, so I'm going to pull up that slide one more time. Go ahead and select what are the suggestions. Awesome. Today, team, your independent practice is in assessments. You might see the word tutor. Just make sure you're signing in with your VCP Google account as you click that link on the next page. Same as with your skill builder. If you don't get it right the first time, your partial credit goes down a little bit. You can access hints, and if you're really stuck, you can click show answer. Just remember, the more help you ask for, the less credit that you receive on that question. Okay, so use these strategies in your practice today, and I can't wait to see your work. That's it for me. Have a really excellent weekend. I'll see you guys here on Monday.